Wait, are we?
We're only live to Twitch so far. No YouTube.
There it is.
The work?
There it is. All right. For some reason, I had to refresh it. Now it should be live. Wow. Sorry about that. Okay. We are 10 minutes late, but perhaps we're actually only 5 minutes late, depending on how you look at things. But hi, everyone, and welcome to Awesome Hardware. This is a live show. We stream every Tuesday evening. We talk about technology. We have a beer or two. We occasionally use adult language, so fair warning for that. I'm joined by my friend and compatriot, Kyle. He's joining remotely because we're still wearing masks and social distancing. And hopefully you guys are having a great night. We're gonna talk about some random tech stuff this evening. We've got a roundup of the new Ryzen 3000 XT series processors. We got some unfortunate news from MSI. Their CEO unfortunately passed away.
Oh no.
The U.S. is potentially going to ban TikTok. We got a H.266 codec, and Cyberpunk is DirectX 12 only.
Interesting.
Now, before I get into any of that regular news or anything like that, I actually have a second segment that we're going to be moving on to later today. But I'm going to start with the second segment because it requires a little bit of feedback from you guys because it's the yes/no segment.
Nice.
I even have lower thirds today, possibly. Yes, there we go. Where we take a subject matter and we say yes or no to it. It's very straightforward. It's very cut and dry. There's little to no nuance to the whole thing. So here are the questions that we're going to be asking you guys. And if you're on YouTube, these should all be linked in the video description, along with all of the stories that we're talking about today. So we got these new Ryzen 3000 XT series CPUs, the 3900 XT, 3800 XT, and 3600. Going over details in just a second, some of the results, I guess. And if you guys already know, then go ahead and vote. If not, wait. We've also got this TikTok ban thing. You should have a visceral response to TikTok being banned. And then we have the third. This is a slight variation of yes/no, which I'm fairly torn about. But Linus and Jay earlier today, and Kyle might have caught a little bit of this, we're going around a little bit because Linus tweeted something about this new YouTube thing where it's they're rolling out mid-roll ads and they're basically forcing them on everyone. If you have videos longer than 8 minutes, they're going to go and retroactively add mid-roll ads to them, which is kind of annoying and stupid. But then Jay responded, was like, oh, and by the way, if you just read the rest of the letter, it says you can indicate this preference in YouTube Studio. And I actually responded and showed how to do that. But the question here is Linus or Jay. You guys get to vote. Linus versus Jay. Yes, there's way more nuance to it than that, but we don't care. This is yes/no, and even though I changed the rules already, it doesn't matter. It's still yes/no, and that's how it works.
We're gonna make you choose.
Yeah, there's
Fight over them.
very little room for nuance
No debate.
with yes/no, except for when I change things. Anyway, thanks to all you guys for joining us, though, and cheers. What are you drinking?
Cheers.
What are you drinking tonight, Kyle?
Tonight I've got a white yuzu ale that's been imported from a microbrewery called Kyoto in Japan.
Dang, that is fancy. I got more Dale's Pale Ale,
That's also good.
which is available at Sprouts.
Hey, there's something to be said about inventory and accessibility.
Availability.
If Intel's anything to go by.
That's important. Okay, so we're doing a quick roundup of these new Ryzen 3000 series CPUs. Where I decided to round up fellow YouTube friends, and I went and watched their videos. You might have noted that neither I nor Kyle posted benchmark videos on these products today.
That's right. That's why I'm really glad you're doing this segment.
Me too. No, that's totally why I'm doing it, because I knew we could just do this. So here are the CPUs, 3800 XT, 3900 XT, 3600 XT. This is a hardware unboxed video, by the way. Our friend Steve down there in
Down under.
Down under. Is that offensive when you say down under? I forget.
What's not offensive these days?
Yeah. Anyway,
Don't call him Australian.
so the 3900 XT, if you guys have a chance in this video, oh, sorry about the dog. If you guys have a chance, watch this video because Steve is just really bored and pissed off the whole time. So it's really funny. How just really upset he seems to be about how little how why can't I phrase a sentence? The lack of compellingness is what I'm trying to say. These are not compelling, according to Steve. Here are the results for the 3900 XT. Average clock frequency, because you can advertise your base and boost clocks all day. What's it actually run at when it's doing something like a 20-minute blender load? Went from 4144 megahertz with the 3900X all the way up to 4155 megahertz with the 3900 XT.
Wow.
A scorching 11 megahertz increase. To be fair, it only raised the average temperature by 1 degree. Voltage was about the same or slightly less, and the powers were pretty much the same as well. There's a similar story for the 3800X, although it did boost up a little bit more. Went from 4234 to 4290, albeit with a much more significant increase in temperature, although the voltage was down a bit here. So this is really the story, I think, for these CPUs. Is yes, they exist, and you can install them, but they have been bins. They're slightly better silicon. They're a little bit better of silicon, little chiplets in there, and you can see that, but ever so marginally. The 3600X had the biggest change in frequency from 4147 to 4286, although that one also had the biggest increase in temperature. And Steve was like, almost as if you took a 3600X and overclocked it a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. So
Let's make that a lot more expensive.
yeah, so when you're looking at kind of roughly the same thing, then obviously there's, people are it's not as interesting there. And the thing is the prices here. The prices. And AMD is really competing with themselves. If the price for the 3600 wasn't down towards like $160, if the if the 3900X wasn't down to like 420 or so, then you wouldn't be looking at these price differences. But when you take the price into account with the fact that it's a very marginal increase in performance, it's hard to say yes, go and buy this over the other CPUs that AMD has available, which are really roughly the same. I caught this freeze frame of Steve, which is really great. To sum up I got some quotes from Steve for you guys. They have two videos, by the way, a 3600 XT video and a 3800 XT video. The 3600 XT is $100 extra for 2 letters, because that adds an X and a T onto the 3600, which is, of course, very valuable. And, of course, the recommendation is still to just get the 3600 rather than the XT. I'm not going to try to summarize Steve's charts or anything like that, because he spent nearly a half an hour doing that himself, and I think you should go and appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, Steve didn't think much of the 3600 XT. Meanwhile, the 3800 XT is described as a waste of silicon, and if we could snap and make it disappear, we would. So that was the theme of that one. If they could Thanos this one away, they would totally do it. That's how dismal the view of the 3800 XT is, in Steve's opinion, and we won't try to argue with him on that one. Third review here is from HardwareCanucks. Eber took a look at all...
Oh, wait. What? Sorry, I might have missed it. Did Steve say anything about the 3900 XT?
He only did... all right, I haven't looked at the channel in the past 3 hours because I've been doing other setup stuff.
Oh, okay.
He did separate videos, so it's possible. I'm guessing he's got a 3900 XT video waiting in the wings as well. I don't know if it's up yet or anything like that.
Okay.
I could click on it, but I'd mess with my flow here. Eber, over at HardwareCanucks, took a look at all 3 CPUs. He also came to pretty much the same conclusion, which is certain things like if you're looking at average frequencies, whether you're looking at a single thread load or a multi-thread load, and this is the 3900X versus the XT, single thread went from 4.57 gigahertz to 4.62, 0.05 gigahertz bump there. Multi-threaded went from 4.02 to 4.04. So just very small changes when it comes to out-of-the-box performance. Now, he has some other charts here for like the 3800 XT. There's your numbers there. Again, it seemed like the 3900 XT was kind of the most disappointing. It was the most marginal of an increase. And then there's a little bit more with the 3800 XT and 3600 XT, but you're just looking at, $50 to $80 to $100 more for your 6-core with the 3600 XT than what you can get at. And for really just a very small improvement overall, and you don't get a cooler, which may or may not be a factor to you, but the fact is AMD is giving you a little bit less there than they had before. So yeah, there you go.
I think the fact, like, them not including a cooler with the 3800 XT and 3900 XT wouldn't be such a big deal if these chips actually clocked higher, like notably higher on average than their non-XT counterparts.
Yeah.
And actually required better cooling than what the stock cooler was rated for, TDP wise. But because it's so similar, it's like you're not really even getting the extra performance, which means you're not really incurring more heat, which means the stock coolers would have been perfectly adequate.
Yeah.
But you now have to buy an aftermarket one.
So
even more money than what premium they've already tacked onto it.
Yeah. I don't think like AMD or Intel has done it directly. Well, I guess you could maybe say AMD did it with some of their weird stuff they did back in the Pal driver days, but like there have been stores like the Golden CPU place. Anyway, there are places where you can sort of purchase a golden sample, a part that will overclock better than others of the same part because it's been binned by someone. EVGA has done that with their graphics cards. I can't remember.
SiliconLottery.com.
Silicon Lottery, who we've talked about a little bit before, does it with CPUs, and they bin them, and people pay more money for something that they know will clock a little bit higher. So if you look at it from that perspective, and somebody who is going to buy the 3900X, and they're like, I want to overclock it. I'm definitely going to go with some high-end cooling, and I want to get in there and mess with the numbers and see what I can get. Somebody in that scenario might be interested in buying a 3900 XT over a 3900X because they know they're going to get the same chip, but it's going to be a little bit better. How much better is, like, you can't really answer that question without doing a really wide sampling of benchmarks, and I don't know if that's going to happen at all. But that's kind of a niche scenario. For anyone who's looking for the price to performance solution here, stick with what AMD already offers on the 3000 series. Even their newer version, even the newer minted like 3600s, for example, have increased silicon quality. That's another recent GamersNexus video. Things have gotten better even if you're just looking at the standard CPUs that have already been for sale for a year. So so there it is, pretty much your XT roundup. It may be interesting for a few people. Oh, I guess the only other thing I was going to mention is if you're looking to hit that, like a really cool, like I'm running at like, 0.9 volts or whatever for whatever overclock. If you're looking to undervolt or set up something that's like really low heat output or something, that might be another somewhat niche use case for these that you might be interested in. And it's up to you whether or not it's worth that extra money, but it's a decent amount of extra money. 3800 XT certainly seems kind of dead in the water compared to what the 3700X that's still available. But anyway, that sums it up for that. Let's move on. Our next story is a sad one. So our condolences are going out to our friends over at MSI right now because they have lost their CEO like today. Or today, it's tomorrow now in Taiwan, but this was on July 7th in Taiwan. MSI's CEO Charles Chiang has died. He was 56 years old, which is not all that old. He did not die of natural causes. He died from falling from one of MSI's company buildings in Taiwan.
Shit.
He had been with MSI for more than 2 decades. He just somewhat recently took over as CEO in January of 2019. MSI has provided a statement to Tom's Hardware. Earlier today, MSI GM and CEO Charles Chiang passed away. Having been part of the company for more than 20 years, he made outstanding contributions, was admired by his colleagues. Mr. Chiang was a respected leader in the MSI family and helped pave the way for the brand's success. We're all deeply saddened by the news and are mourning the loss of Mr. Chiang. He will be deeply missed by our entire team. His former roles at MSI included VP of Desktop Platform Solutions, VP of R&D, and AVP of R&D. So yeah, I've met him before. He wasn't one of my primary contacts, but I definitely met him at some events and stuff, and he was always one of those people who just was very like happy and like wanted to talk to you and was very excited about the products they made and stuff like that. So it's very sad. There is I do have a little bit more on this from Taiwanese news source ET Today. This is using Google Translate, so please forgive any awkward translations that are involved in here. But this does have video of the building where where this happened, which is just one of the buildings in Taiwan. I don't think I've been to this one in particular, and it doesn't. Oh, there. All right, it's finally playing. This is the actual building where it happened. Security of MSI went out to patrol at about 2 p.m., heard a loud noise. He was found lying on the ground in the company's car lane. Surveillance shows he... Yes, hi Anna, my daughter's walking in there in the middle of this. Surveillance shows he walked alone to the 7th floor of the company, which is about... And again, this is something that might have been lost in translation. It seems like it was about 43 feet tall, or 13 meters. Further details are still to be clarified by the police. So there's something going on here, and I'm not going to speculate or anything like that. There's one more follow-up story that has a little bit of details from his family. They said there was possibly recently a quarrel, a family quarrel that might have been involved, but they did not show any. He did not show any thoughts of suicide or anything like that. So. Anyway.
Sounds like the beginning of like a crime mystery drama or something.
Yeah.
Just
so
very mysterious circumstances.
Obviously a tragedy, and obviously circumstances surrounding it are like, you're like, hold on, that things seem a little fishy, but it just happened, so we're not going to speculate or anything like that. That's pretty much all of the facts that I could find out about it. So we'll leave it at that, and we will move on to some news in the U.S. This is from Reuters about the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who recently said some stuff, and this borders on like current events, world news and stuff like that, which we don't typically dive into here on the show because it makes me want to gouge my eyes out or something like that. But this is related to TikTok, which is a social media app which is associated with tech and everything. And I wanted to ask you guys about it, so that's why we're going to do the yes/no question in just a few moments. So anyway, Pompeo said that the United States is certainly looking at banning Chinese social media apps. So this is not exclusive to TikTok, but it does include TikTok. This is due to national security concerns over TikTok's handling of user data and Chinese laws requiring domestic companies to support and cooperate with intelligence work controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. So the Chinese law basically says, hey, if you're a company operating in China and the Communist Party comes and says, hey, we'd like all of the information that you have on all of your users and everything that's ever been saved, they have to be like, okay, here. So TikTok being one of those apps that might have the capability of digging into your phone and checking in on stuff, and there's been, again, some news about that recently, but a lot of it still kind of seems like subject to verification, so I didn't want to get into that, but it does seem like the type of app, like many apps and like many things on your phone do these days, but it does a lot of tracking. So the concern there is that they hand that data over to the Chinese Communist Party, and they might use that for nefarious purposes or something like that, because Red Scare and everything. Americans should be cautious in using the short-form video app owned by China-based ByteDance, is the parent company that owns it. Interestingly, and I don't know if you guys knew this, TikTok is not available in China. Did you know that, Kyle?
I did not.
Okay.
But I'm not surprised.
I wasn't aware of that until somewhat recently. And I always thought, like, oh, these people getting on TikTok are trying to, they're doing like LeBron, right? They're trying to play the global market, and they want to make sure that the however many 1.8 billion people that are in China, they have, those are potential fans or customers or whatever, right? But TikTok is not in China. It's everywhere else but China. Except a couple places like India, which recently banned it, but they've been having some border disputes with China, which I'm also not going to get into. Fisticuffs were... Sorry, what?
Is TikTok not in China because it's banned?
That's not entirely clear. It is a China-based company developing a social media app for the rest of the world, but not for China. I don't know.
See, I see. If they're not even letting their own people use the app, then why should we?
Well, they have
It's just a data
They have
trap.
all the Tencent stuff
Clearly.
that I'm sure is already subject to all this, so that's not really an issue, I imagine. But I was so my thought here was like, all right, I don't know. There's a lot of like theoretical discussion that goes on here. We're talking about like different countries and freedom to do what you want and use whatever apps you want and all this kind of stuff. And I don't even want to get into that because I have other news stories to talk about. I would say that the U.S. has also been kind of keen, or at least the like Congress has also been kind of keen on passing laws that like restrict the use of encryption and that sort of thing. So this seems like a little bit of a counter to that. If the concern is for the safety and security of the U.S. citizens and their data, maybe they should also not be like, hey, the U.S. government should also have a backdoor to any encryption method that's ever developed. Like that will ever be, or like that will never. Oh, sorry, I clicked the button. Did I?
You turned me into a Windows window.
I totally just absent-mindedly
no.
clicked a button on the other controller and. Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
What was I? What was I talking
fuzzy
about?
Again.
You're fuzzy again. Sorry, Kyle.
That's okay.
Anyway, TikTok is also exiting Hong Kong. Hong Kong is still protesting like crazy. It's insane. I do not have TikTok. Kyle, you don't have TikTok. Did you ever?
No.
Didn't dive into that.
I'm a boomer.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be going
Too
down
old.
that path personally. Not at this point. We'll wait and see. We'll keep you guys updated as events warrant for new TikTok stuff. New H.266 codec, right? We've had H.264, H.265, and now H.266. I really appreciate how our friends over at Fraunhofer, the German company who's behind the development of this new H.266 codec, has stuck with a nice sequential path when it comes to naming their codecs. What's after H.264? H.265. The only thing you might change is be like I.264, but no. Anyway, that's my unique take on the naming. Kyle, obviously you thought that was very amusing.
It took me a second to figure out what you were doing.
You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Okay, H.266 is a new codec being developed by Fraunhofer, who's the company they developed H.264, H.265. Well, they helped to develop these, as well as the MP3 encoding format, which would have been a while back now. They have unveiled this new encoding standard, H.266, or VVC, the Versatile Video Coding Codec. It's specifically designed for 4K and 8K streaming, so it's going to give you an improvement of about 50% when it comes to the amount of data that's used while streaming something like a 4K live stream. Kyle's demonstrating right now with his footage just the approximate quality and sharpness that you would get from a 4K stream using this new H.266 codec. I'm joking, of course. Kyle?
Yeah, 4K is in 4 kilobits per
Are
second.
you beaming us your signal from Antarctica or something? What are you...
I mean, I don't know why it's getting worse.
Is your internet connected through a drinking straw?
No, it's perfectly fine.
Okay,
I get
sorry.
pretty decent speeds here. I don't know why it's.
I have
doing that.
a
I get
feeling
100
it's
both ways.
probably more to do with the Hangouts video network itself
It
and,
could be.
and usage of that and stuff.
We're getting throttled somewhere.
Sorry, I needed a sip of beer. So, yeah, upshot here. If a 90-minute H.265 encoded movie is about 10 gigabytes, and H.265, also known as HEVC, has been like the standard if you're gonna save something long term or something like that. Oh damn it, Cal! Now you're frozen up completely.
Oh my god!
Oh no, you're back. You're back. You're frozen for a second there. This is awesome. I like this.
No.
I really appreciate the extra.
You have to start improvising more conversations with Frozen Kyle.
The
pretty
extra
soon.
layer this adds to the show. That was a good. I really liked that part of that stream.
That was
A few
epic.
weeks back.
I kind of just want to like shake my face like this the whole time, so it just freezes on a really awful
some
moment.
goofy
but-
thing with your cheeks flopping or something. That'd be
Alright.
exciting. Yeah, so it's going to cut the amount of data used in half. I don't know how to say more than that. And the improved compression won't impact the quality of the video. So if you're like, oh, well, if it's going to use half the data, it's going to look like crap. It's apparently the same exact pristine quality of the media and stuff. They developed it in collaboration with partners such as Apple, Ericsson, Intel, Huawei, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Sony. It's going to be licensed by the Media Coding Industry Forum, or MCIF, which is a group with 34 major member companies, because they want to make sure they get the licensing aspect of this right, because apparently there were some issues with H.264 around licensing. I don't know about that, but the article references it, so I mentioned it. I'm sure this article is completely accurate. And that's all. Yeah, so if your video before was going to take up 5 gigs with H.265, now it'll take up 2.5 gigs with H.266. Brilliant. Supports all formats. It's particularly beneficial for high res like 4K and 8K, but it does support all formats going down to 480. So that's cool. Some backwards compatibility. Could reduce traffic significantly for streaming services like Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, and Netflix. They do not have a software standard yet for VCC encoding and decoding, they said, but they will deliver one this fall, and there will be new chips required for the use of H.266 and VVC for the hardware accelerated side of it, such as those in mobile devices that are currently being designed. So it's probably going to be a little while till you see this widespread where you've got because that's what it really requires. You need the hardware encoders and decoders that can do it on the fly. It's typically something like video encoding with something like an x86 PC or CPU is going to take a lot of work. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Cyberpunk 2077.
Thank you for rubbing my tummy, by the way, throughout this live stream, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's very comforting.
Have I been doing that over here?
Yeah. Are you petting Hero or something down there?
Oh, that's a.
It just kind of looks like.
Yes, Hero's right there. He walked over
very,
and he's panting at me and stuff.
You never used to do that to me before.
Oh,
so.
it's getting so warm in here with the air conditioner off. I'm fine though. I'm fine. We're gonna press through. This is the sacrifice I make for the live show. Let's proceed to talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
Woohoo!
Short story here. It will only run with DirectX 12. Woohoo! Lots of people excited about Cyberpunk 2077. Recently, oh jeez, oh the dogs are tearing. There's a delivery person at the door. The dogs are tearing them limb from limb.
I can't hear.
So much blood, chaos, and anarchy.
No, doggies, don't get the COVID.
Heroes feasting on the flesh of. There's actually nothing at the door. The dogs are barking at nothing. Okay, so, sorry about the dogs.
You're hallucinating.
Moving on. Cyberpunk 2077, DirectX 12 only. That's basically the whole story. No, there's a couple things to mention. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to offer ray tracing support. They're developing it pretty closely with NVIDIA on that side of things. Ray tracing is tied to DirectX 12, so that kind of explains why. But it is news that there will be no Vulkan or DirectX 11 mode to play the game in available. This means that you're only going to be able to play Cyberpunk 2077 on Windows 10 computers or Windows 7 computers that have the DirectX 12 update, because Windows 7 is so badass that they finally gave in and did a DirectX 12 update to it. I feel like we must have talked about that at some point on the live show, but I have no recollection specifically.
Possibly.
I'm sure we did, though. I'm sure we covered that. You guys should be well aware of it, because you should remember everything we talked about in the past on the live show, even though we do not.
We have the hard jobs, okay?
Just drink some more beer.
Just sit there like a sponge and absorb it.
Exactly. You're the recorders of all this. You're supposed to document and save for future generations. That's implicit, of course. But so all of you Windows 8 and Windows 8.1 users out there, I couldn't say that with a straight face. There's a few people. There's a few people. I don't know if the Venn diagram with like people still on Windows 8 and 8.1 and people who are really stoked about Cyberpunk 2077, I don't know if there's any overlap there. But if there is, those people, that sucks for these people. You got to upgrade to Windows 10. Get out of the past. Unless you're on Windows 7, in which case you are a true connoisseur. You appreciate the finer things in life. Windows 7, like a fine wine, has only gotten better with age, and certainly is not going to be subject to any security vulnerabilities, as Microsoft has stopped doing anything with vital patches for it. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming to PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on November 19th. It will also be launching for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X whenever the heck those launch. Are there dates for those? Did they say?
I know holiday this year
Holiday.
for at least for the Xbox Series X. So
Okay.
I would imagine the PS5's there too.
They both got to be coming.
Right.
All right. BMW owners will now have the great privilege of joining many others of us who are now living in a services-based economy, because your BMW, with all of its fancy technology and everything, may now have microtransactions, effectively speaking. Apparently, the folks over at BMW saw how much money was being raked in by, I don't know, Fortnite. What video games have microtransactions? There's lots of things with microtransactions, but the fact is, they're having options, vehicle options, that you might enable with software. So, imagine, for example, you bought a BMW with like a base package. That BMW actually has all the options integrated. And at any point, you could be like, I want to pay $10 to BMW this month to turn on the air conditioner. Probably not the air conditioner, but maybe a fancy digital service or software-based service that the car is capable of, such as the BMW Digital Key service that they announced with Apple at WWDC last week. The current model cars are going to be able to upgrade to via a software upgrade, by the way. Software upgrade is 1 gigabyte in size and will take 20 minutes to install. I don't know why that was a detail I felt like was pertinent to the story. Back to the point. These vehicles will be able to turn many of their options into software services. So, advanced safety systems like adaptive cruise control and automatic high beams, or discrete options like heated seats, might be enabled or disabled via, an upgrade that you decide to do later on. That's how they're pitching this. But the obvious flip side to it is if you buy something with the full package or whatever, or like you pay, I want to pay for 3 months of like the full use of my vehicle's accessories and features, and then after 3 months expires, and you don't have any money left because of your meth addiction, so now you can't pay for these fancy features on your BMW, and now they turn off. And now, how are you going to impress the girl who you're trying to take out? Or I don't know. I don't know what people do in BMWs. I don't have one. What do people... Kyle? Meth?
I don't have a BMW.
Oh. Well, I thought you might have friends who did or something. The point is, fancy
really.
cars might now have microtransactions. And that is stupid. Or maybe it's cool. I don't know. The article seems to indicate, like, maybe there'll be people who are really trying to get a BMW on the cheap. Like, let's say you're leasing and you got a great deal for your lease package, and, like, you've got RGB LED trim in your BMW, but it's not enabled because you got the base package. But then you just want to, like, go all out for one night or something. Then you can just pay for it on the fly. I don't know. Is this practical? Does this make sense?
I mean, I have a feel like part of me wants to say that it kind of makes sense just because the way a lot of car car manufacturers sell their cars is through packages, right? So they'll have like a black optic trim package. It's like, oh, it like decks out all the trim of the car in black, so it looks really cool. But that package also includes these other aesthetic features that you may or may not want. And if you don't want those features, but you do want the black optics, you have to pay the extra amount. You have to pay the full amount to get that one feature and basically, waste your money on a bunch of other features you don't care about. A lot of car makers do that. And so if you can individualize which features you actually want and you're only paying for the shit that you need, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that model. But if they're still going to like somehow package it in that way, where like they're going to group different features together, then I don't really see the point. And also, you might not know if you'll actually see value in a feature of a car until you have the car for a while, or until you actually try using it. So this could be a way to test the waters and say, well, before I blow, $2,000 on these features, let me just pay it, for pay for it for 3 months, test it out, and then decide, okay, is this something that I want long term, or is it did I not need it? Was it gimmicky? Whatever. So I see pros and cons.
Yeah.
The con side is that they could nickel and dime you for everything. Like you said it as a joke earlier about the air conditioner, but if it's gonna be like that, where it's like everything is a fucking option, then it just becomes this annoying cash grab where they're trying to nickel and dime you for everything, and it really just depends on the execution of how they roll this out. That's going to determine if this is a good idea or a terrible idea.
So I feel like there's lots of little random thoughts about this. So I'm gonna try to fire off a couple of them. Chat's brought up like, oh, well, now you need to hack your BMW or root your car somehow, to enable all these features, or like buy the base model and then hack it and then like turn them all on or something like that. Which I don't know how, like, then you probably would not have like over there updates or
Warranty,
constant internet access or anything. But I could see that being done. So here's the way I see it going, because looking at this as something positive for vehicle owners who are trying to like save a buck by only buying the stuff that they need. I think that's a little idealistic of a view when you're talking about a company trying to make money. And when it comes to these types of services, these, again, service-based economies, companies realize, I think many people have realized for a long time, the real money in something isn't in selling it to somebody for the first time. The real money in anything is people paying a monthly fee for something. People need to be on the hook to come back and spend more money. That's why you see game services going from buy the game for $50 or $60 and then you own the game to like, the game's free to play, but then you got to pay XYZ to play all the other features of the game. What I would see happening with something like this is it's enabled via the BMW app. Some upgrades are permanent and assigned to the car, others are temporary, but like they'll have some BMW Pro plan or something, some ideal plan, which is the best deal based on how they've laid everything out, that everyone will want to go for. And you want to pay for that plan monthly because that will give you access to the most features and for the reasonable price, and it's a package plan that puts everything together. If you're not on that plan, then everything goes down to like the bare bones, like 0 extra features of the vehicle. And then that compels you to pay BMW your, I don't know how many dollars a month they're going to charge for something like this, and keep paying BMW for a vehicle that you potentially have already bought. That's what I think would happen with something like this. And we'll see if people go for it. The thing that irritates me though is, again, this services-based economies. It's not like they made this up. You can sell a car, you can make a car and sell a car, and everything that's in the car works. That's happened for quite some time, right? They've made this up as a different way of doing things, somewhat unnecessarily. It benefits them by being able to make more money, and I see minimal value to the consumer. And I think lots of games, cars, whatever other businesses have sort of have taken a dive into this, like, oh, we're going to be Windows as a service or whatever. They're all trying to get you or whoever they want as consumers to sign up for a monthly fee that they put on their credit card that you forget about, that just becomes part of your monthly bills. And then you're paying them a monthly fee for for however long. And I feel like there's way too much effort put into sort of manipulating the way your company or your business or your product works into fitting that mold of a monthly fee versus just making something that is the best product possible for the people you're trying to sell it to. So that's one of those things where I feel like it's counter to benefiting, the people who are actually consuming and buying and using the product. Anyway,
I have one other thought. Like,
yes.
it might this model also might be beneficial to them, not just from a subscription model standpoint where they're getting recurring funds payments every month. Yes, that's huge, but also maybe on the manufacturing side, it might simplify their manufacturing process if every car they make is exactly the same. if it's all spec'd out, as opposed to having to build and manufacture each car per individual, per the individual's needs. You know, like when I bought my car, I had a very specific list of what I wanted. It's like, you know, it's not going to be the same as any other car of that model, and that could potentially add time or complexity to the manufacturing process. Whereas if they just build every single car the same, just they can belt them out more efficiently, perhaps. Maybe it costs less time, less money, and you know, and maybe there's a twofold benefit to why they're, you know, what they're interested in this model for some reason. It's just a thought.
No, I agree. That's why I say that, like, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of aspects to this, and, you know, applying this to other industries or whatever. But yeah, that's another aspect. If you simplify the manufacturing process, could that be a source of efficiency or saving money? And then my response to that would be, and then it's up to BMW to pass those savings on to the customer.
Yeah.
Is that what they're gonna do?
In a perfect world.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. Okay, let's move on. That's all we have for the regular news segment. We have one more segment we're gonna tear through pretty quickly because it's so straightforward, and we asked you guys these questions at the beginning, but we will run through them one more time before we see the results. This is yes, no. A few topics we discussed already in the show, as well as one extra one. We are going to summarily summarize and vote on and say yes or no, and that'll be it for all time. We have, of course, the AMD Ryzen 3000 XT CPUs. Were you swayed by the opinions of Steve and Eber? Do you have an...
What about Jay? You didn't cover Jay's take. I thought Jay's was pretty positive, no? I didn't watch his video, but based on the title, it seemed like he was really
I didn't watch all of
chips.
Jay's video. I saw he had some funny slides in there, which I appreciated.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't get that far. But we'll come back to Jay.
Okay.
We will judge him nonetheless
on
something
yes.
else. TikTok ban, yes or no? Let me know what you think about that. And then of course this Linus and Jay option, the YouTube mid-roll ads. Source, this Linus Tech Tips tweet about this email that was sent out to people who are on the YouTube partner program, I believe, saying, in late July, all videos longer than 8 minutes will be eligible for mid-roll ads. So this is a change from the past where you've had the 10 minutes, and all of us YouTubers are so used to and accustomed just filling our videos with fluff and garbage so we can hit that 10-minute limit, right? You do that all the time, Kyle, right?
Nailed it.
I get accused of that so often. Like, you just made this 10 minutes so you could fit more ads. And I'm always like, look at the video, you can see the ads. There's one ad at the beginning.
One ad.
All of my videos have one ad at the beginning. I never put on mid-rolls or post-rolls. I did post-rolls briefly.
Not a post-roll? Why not a post-roll?
What?
Why not a post-roll?
My thought for turning off the post-rolls are... I don't like ads. But I guess my thought process there is if you want people to roll into your next videos, you know, if you want to take the old school broadcast television approach to it, and you want to flow right into the next video, my thought was that a post-roll ad would disrupt that, perhaps, and you know, but I don't know. Also,
any autoplay video after mine is usually a Linus Tech Tips video. So
that's probably true.
Don't really care about that.
But yeah, I've only done the intro pre-roll ad for years now. So anyway,
legit.
Yeah.
The mid rolls are annoying.
Mid rolls are annoying.
It's like already pushing it when you have a mid roll on a 10-minute video. Like I do not do mid rolls unless it's like a 20-minute, 30-minute video. Then I'm like, all right, you technically got 2 of my regular, you know, size videos here. So, and you know, I'll check. It's also one of those things where it's like if I feel confident in the video, where it's like this is a good video. This is worth watching all the way through. I'll drop the mid roll in there. So I take it on a case by case basis. It's got to be super long, and it's got to be a really good video for me for it to warrant me putting a mid roll in the middle. 8 minutes, I think, is a lot less than people are used to.
Yeah. Well,
it'll be
that's I mean that's an interesting thing, and I don't know if you guys watch a lot of YouTube, you might notice that when it comes to the mid-roll ads that can go on videos, it's going to allow people to post mid-roll ads on videos that are a little bit shorter. The main issue that I don't know if this was even Linus who tweeted this, is this means videos where you may have opted out of mid-roll ads will now be opted in. So they're going back retroactively to videos that were longer than 8 minutes, but shorter than 10, I guess. And like adding mid-rolls to them. Videos that already have mid-roll ads will not be impacted. Anyway, so it was upsetting and frustrating that YouTube is deciding to go in and change suddenly the ads that were set up on existing videos, and then possibly forcing YouTubers to go back and change that manually if you wanted to. But then Jay responded and pointed out, if the mid-roll ads are not a good fit for your videos, you can indicate this preference in YouTube Studio by July 27th, 2020. And indeed you can. Here's where I jump in with my super helpful screenshot of me turning it off, because you just go in here into the mid-roll preferences, and Kyle, I don't know if you've done this yet, but you should. Just tell it you will individually review the ads, and you can tell them the reason as well if you want, under channel monetization. So, all of that said, now you guys have the full backstory, so you can give your yes/no vote. It's actually not a yes/no, it's a Linus J vote. That's fine. Change the rules. It's okay. And yeah, I know you could be like, am I voting for Linus or am I voting for Jay? Am I voting for YouTube sucking for forcing mid-rolls, or am I voting for Jay just saying like, hey, they give you the option to opt out? Opt out. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Just vote. All that matters are the results. That's all the TikTok said that we had to harvest from people. All right, so Kyle, what do you think about this Ryzen 3000 XT CPUs?
I'm gonna say no.
All right, what percentage? Let's guess the percentage.
Okay, I'm gonna say 80% no.
80% no. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 81% because I'm a jerk. I'm just... results. Oh,
Cheap
wow.
shot.
Wow. All right, we were off.
Oh, yeah?
We have 41% yes.
Whoa.
And 59% no. So
Damn.
definitely a no vote, but still more people interested perhaps than we thought. Maybe more people interested in getting into the overclocking game, or people who had first or second gen CPUs but didn't immediately dive into the Ryzen 3000 series when it launched last year, but who are now looking for an upgrade. Curious. That or just AMD brigaded this, and it's totally... Who knows? That's speculation, obviously, but probably not. Anyway, good to know, guys. Thank you for the feedback. TikTok ban, yes or no?
That's surprising.
People think it should be banned?
I'm gonna say yes.
All right, people say yes.
I'm gonna say yes by... Okay, you pick the percentage
I'll say 55% yes.
55% yes.
So
I will say 56% yes. No, I'll do it even a little bit. I'll play a fair game here. Let's do 70% yes.
Okay, my skew was based on my assumption that there were people who'd be like, the government shouldn't be dictating this type of thing, because that's another aspect of that, right?
Sure.
Wow. All right. So I had that one wrong, but obviously you were much closer. 82% of people watching this stream who took the time to go and vote on this said that yes, TikTok should be banned.
Righteous. Wait, did you show the? Is it showing on screen? I don't see it.
I am. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Have I shown any of this? Did I show this?
You showed the.
I thought I was on top of this.
It's been like a good 15 seconds since I've seen anything.
All right, there's the Ryzen results. There's the TikTok ban results.
We saw the Ryzen results, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But just the.
Sorry about that. Trying to switch.
Cool.
All right, one more. Linus and Jay. This is a more difficult one to suss out.
Yeah.
All right, so no percentage this time. We just have to choose Linus or Jay.
Okay.
I'm gonna bet or. Okay. So hold up an L or a J make one with your hand.
Oh.
And then we'll hold it up to the camera on the count of 3. That way we can both vote independently.
Well, I'm trying to think of who I'm even going to vote for.
Well, yeah, I thought you would have just known. You know, this is the type of question that.
Ugh, it's hard. Okay.
All All right, ready?
Got it. Yep.
1, 2, 3, go.
I can't see you. There's a delay, so I'll have to wait.
Wait, is yours a J or an L?
It's an L.
Okay.
This would be my J.
I think I meant to do a J, but then I forgot I needed to do that one instead. I forgot which hand I was supposed to do it
The
with.
J and the L is just a half a thumb away.
You get Linus, I'll take J.
Okay.
Just like at LTX. J wins.
Yay!
J wins. All right, so J wins. J beats Linus. I forget exactly. Did I show these results here? I forget exactly how this works. Linus will just slowly, I think, start to not exist anymore, kind of like in Back to the Future with the picture.
His arm will start disappearing.
Yeah. That's I believe that's how it's happened. It's been a long time since we did this with a person, but yeah, I'm sure that will LMG will have to make some adjustments, make some changes, I think, for the future.
Fire him.
All right, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for the Awesome Hardware episode number 233, the show proper. If you happened to make a donation comment in chat, greatly appreciated, but we're not going to be answering it until the after party, which is going to continue on Twitch. So if you're watching on YouTube and you want to watch us talk with even less structure than has already existed, go to twitch.tv/awesomehardware. If you're on YouTube, we greatly appreciate you joining us. And if you want to hit the thumbs up button, that's appreciated. And of course, many thanks to our moderators, Cell Processing and Crafty Hack. And big thanks to Your Everyday Tech, who has been doing timestamps for us. I don't assume he's going to do them again, but if he does, that's super awesome. In any case, I'll try to pin those ASAP. Thanks for watching this episode of Awesome Hardware, guys. On behalf of myself and Kyle, have a wonderful day. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.